Let's call this October 25th Commissioners Meeting to order. So stand and join me in the pledge and a short prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Heavenly Father, we'd ask that you would bless our county and our nation. We'd ask for your guidance and wisdom in making good decisions that would be pleasing unto you. All these things we ask in your heavenly precious name. Amen. Have the commissioners had a chance to look at the previous minutes for the meeting? And if so, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Have the commissioners had an opportunity to review the claims? And if so, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the claims as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Have the commissioners had an opportunity to review the payroll? And if so, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve payroll. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. I have reports from the clerk and from Weights and Measures. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
Motion to approve and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next on our itinerary is Delaware County is preparing a grant application for assistance for the State of Indiana Division of Mental Health and Addiction to help fund the construction of its mental health facility. Commissioners have been in contact with the Board of Commissioners for several counties of the East Central Indiana about this facility and its construction. Delaware County has always intended this facility to provide services to all the residents of East Central Indiana. The grant will be submitted by the deadline of October 18th. The Delaware County Commissioners would request a letter or email in support of this facility to assist residents throughout this region. The address, the contact, and the facility, the Social Service Administration Division of Mental Health and Addiction is, and they would ask if we would like to send a letter. Do I have a motion of support or not for this letter for their grant?
Well, I know that it has passed the deadline because of the way it came in with our meetings, but I think every little bit of support will help, even if it's past the deadline. So I will make the motion to create a letter of support for Delaware County in this process.
Second.
Motion's made and second to approve a letter of support. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Now I have quotes for the renovation surveys for the courthouse. There was 3 different quotes from different surveying companies for topographical survey. Actually, I got one of them's combined with the other one, isn't it?
So you'll see the one from Coors for $6,800, and then there's one that's theirs does not include private locating services. The one from Parallel Surveying has attached to it a quote or estimated quote from Mason Private Locating, which is the $2,925. And then the one from Ashton also does not include the private locating. So with Coors and Ashton, we would have to contract with somebody to do the private locating.
Any discussion other than that?
And this is, like you said, this is DLZ. Has requested this. The one thing I wanted to look at, and I apologize, I did not. This was not included. So it looks like that their quote is $7,778 for parallel with the estimated, it looks like additional $2,925 for the private locate. I have not reached out to any other private locating to get additional cost for the private locating. I do know that, I mean, they all come highly recommended, but in my personal opinion, in order to move forward, because we're looking at 6 to 8 weeks before they can do the survey, I will make the motion that we go with parallel surveying and Mason locating, since we already have all the quotes included.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to award this to 40th Parallel Surveying. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Now we're down to department heads.
Nope. The quote for auditor
Oh, I got the
treasurer
close.
server. That's right behind.
Oh, that's the one you had.
Yeah, I added it today.
I have a quote here for a new server for the auditor and treasurer's office for the amount of $7,300.19. Apparently our server is dying and we're out of room on it, so
So there was also behind it an email from Josh Lau today. He reviewed the specs that for the server that Jeff had configured, and he is good with that. There will be the Interbase upgrade licensing, which is the database software, will be an additional $3,308 for that. And then the time and Interbase upgrade is just going to be charged against the annual support agreement. So this is just for the licensing. There should be an email in the back. Hey, keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
that's it.
You didn't have the email. Sorry.
I don't have the
I missed the
email.
email. Here you go. Sorry, I thought I got the email in everybody's. My apologies for that. So it's the $7,300 plus the additional $3,308 for licensing to upgrade both of these. And this was found, the need to upgrade was found when the treasurer's office was updating some equipment in order to better process the tax payments, and they ran into a problem, and it needs to be upgraded. I believe this server is, the current server is something like 15 years old, roughly around there, which is pretty good for a server. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you, as far as I know.
So we're looking at $10,608.19.
Yes. Joe, do you have any questions? I have no questions. Okay. With that, I will make the motion to approve the two quotes for the new Laos server, is how we refer to it.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I have a motion and a second to approve the total of $10,608.19 for the new server. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Now, Angela.
Hello. Just one thing to report is that we are hoping to have our coalition coordinator hired for the DFC grant and make those announcements on Monday so that person can get started. And I have a question regarding the whole DLZ thing and the updates to the buildings and what have you. So I just circling back around to the office building across the street. And I thought that I understood earlier that the remainder of the ARP funds, before we started chopping it off, was supposed to go toward the buildings and repair.
Mm-hmm.
So is that still the thought process with that?
The
Okay.
resolution that we just passed at the last meeting It carved out the vehicles between the different departments, and then the remainder 2 buildings. Yes.
Okay. Well, I was just getting a little concerned just because, you know, that west side of that building is, I think, the main issue. And there may be some issues on the roof and what have you, you know, but that affects pretty much all of our offices on that side. And I know that, you know, with the expanded money from the state for public health, we're going to be able to do some really good things. But what I cannot do is I can't fund the fixing of the outside of that building. You know, I can replace some carpet. You know, I know much to the council's dismay. I can replace some carpet and flooring, or, you know, things like, you know, I might be able to throw a window or 2 in down the line. I don't know. But the main thing, none of that is worth doing if we don't reset that brick, because it, you know, it's destroying that building. And so I know everything you talked about, the survey is 6 to 8 weeks out, and we're headed into winter. And then after the first of the year, as I can begin to hire staff, I have to have a place to put them. And so we've got a space downstairs in the old United Way, which will help greatly. And our old office upstairs, catty-cornered to the surveyor's office, is still available, but on a really bad rain from the west, you know, it floods into the middle of that office on the carpet. And then downstairs, we've already got the mold issue that you've repaired once and is back to its original state.
So the last I talked to Henry, which was about a week to 10 days ago, they were in here. They are finishing up their scope of work for everything, and
Okay.
we will be they want to present to a work session first
Okay.
before a public meeting, so that we're all aware as to what's going on before it's just presented in a public meeting. And as soon as he has gotten all of that finalized for all the buildings, he's going to let me know, and we can get that scheduled at a work session. Everybody will know about when that work session is.
When that is, and
Yeah,
when
and so we
you'll-
can see everything that's going on. So with the bond, $5 million was placed on this building, and then there was another $700,000 that was kind of carved out. Was that the correct number? 700,000 was carved out for other buildings. So
For other buildings?
out of the bond. I mean, we still have the art money, but out of the bond as well. So
So you have 2 pots then? Okay. I missed that part with the bond
Yes.
thing. Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I wanted. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Coroner's office not here. Highway department, the only thing we had was Joe had a dentist appointment, and he wanted to make us aware that the annual bids were coming due. As far as the announcement of, we're getting those ready. Mr. Rust, you just wanted us to see your face, huh? Okay. Nobody, planning commission, sheriff.
Couple updates. We're going to start a hiring process in about a week. We have one open position for patrolman, and we're going to start the hiring process in about a week. I think we want to talk about, I didn't see it on the agenda, I believe Commissioner Wiley has Captain Matt talked to you about the lease thing. I'll let him talk about that whenever that time is ready. I don't know if that's right now or later on. So not really much other updates. We continue to stay pretty heavy on jail numbers. We got up over 250 some there for a little bit.
But we're down to 226 today.
Yeah, so we're trying to keep our DOC people moved out, and Delaware County's been helping us out with that. So that's been a good help. Captain Matt, come talk about what you and Mr. Wiley have talked about. I think that's about all I have today, unless you have any questions.
You want to do it?
Yeah.
Want to do
Sure.
it now?
Mhm.
Hey, Tom, before you sit down,
It's on the end, but we can
It's on
go
the end,
ahead.
but we'll go ahead and do it now since you're up here.
No, go ahead.
You're fine.
If you guys want to wait.
No, you're fine.
You can stand right there.
Hopefully this won't take long.
No, this was something for John. It's on the end, so,
Okay, go ahead.
or excuse me, the sheriff.
That's all right.
The fuel bids,
Yes.
okay, from the email we got, we want clarification on what you're doing,
Okay,
because everybody's always bid this together.
Okay.
So are you wanting to be separated out and not have everybody bid together?
it seems to be a, kind of an accounting issue to where, you know, we're having to bill out to other agencies, and sometimes that can cause a lag. And if it is not, if it's not costing us some kind of a huge financial break by bidding it all together, I'm assuming that's probably the reason it was bid together. I don't know what the thresholds are gallons wise. I would like to have it individualized to where we, you know, we bid it separately to the sheriff's department. That way the other agencies can, and maybe some of the other agencies can go together. That may help, because I'm sure some, like the coroner's, probably not using much fuel, and so maybe grouping some of the other ones together. But I think accounting-wise, it would make more sense to us. It's kind of like the cell phone issue. We used to pay for the city's cell phones, city police, for some reason, and it's just a lot nicer to separate that out. So that's kind of the idea.
So it's my understanding that the city and the county all bid at the same time to get the best price. So what I would suggest is we still all bid, but instead of, and looking at the contract, because they pulled the contract and the bids from last year. So Mandy had said 20,000 gallons for EMS. Well, what got quoted was diesel and not regular fuel. So I think what we can do is all bid together, but break out. Now,
Where it's
you
bid
guys
to-
everybody uses the same pumps with key fobs, but break out, the sheriff needs 55,000, EMS needs 20,000, the coroner needs, and break it all. We can individually break it out. Mandy has reached out to Co-Alliance, because I believe they can, based upon the fobs, bill each entity. Mandy's waiting on a call back from that, but I think it would make more sense for everybody to bid at the same time, but we just
Correct.
break it out.
Yeah, that's basically what we're requesting. I think it would just make more sense for everybody's. It would just be a little bit more clean on the accounting side. That's.
Do you know how many gallons you guys have used, the sheriff's department has used? You guys track that?
Yeah, we do track it, and I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I can get that to you.
Okay. I know
Looks like
Mandy tracks hers. She
Yeah.
knows,
We
she
track-
knows exactly how many as well.
We have a very nice spreadsheet that tracks all of the mileage on the vehicles. So we have to put in the mileage when you get fuel. So we have a spreadsheet. Every vehicle, the vehicles are numbered, and so we know the mileage and the exact amounts of fuel going into those vehicles. And
Do you know if you're over last year's totals?
I don't remember. I could email you a end of the year last year, and then I could email you an up-to-date.
Up to,
edition. Mhm.
okay, that would be great if
The
you
one thing
could.
that I do know is I believe that we're going to be close on our fuel budget, which really scared me. I thought that could be a nightmare this year, but it looks like once we get our reimbursements from the other agencies, that we're going to land real close on dollars there. So that's a good thing.
Thank you.
Okay. I think we've been down this road once before and kind of circled back around to it, looking at enterprise as an option for vehicles for the sheriff's department. A couple things. I know there were some questions. What has changed? One, picking up the vehicles from Hamilton County is going to be a huge plus because it's not forcing us to take vehicles that we would immediately take out of service to become pool cars, which is what was going to take place had we continued without that. And two, I know there was some discussion of we could finance to make the dollars go further and things like that. So I talked to Chris, who took over. He's our account person or the point of contact at this moment. So he gave me really I asked for two options. One was the market value, and I think there was some question, Mr. Dillinger, it may have been you, about what happens at the end, because if there's negative equity or that the vehicle is not maintained or the potential that it wasn't valued exactly what they thought it would be valued when it came to the end. Had a great conversation with him. He said short of something being mechanically wrong with the vehicle, they put low book value as what they expect at the end. And then he said rarely do they ever see where it doesn't come back with more. He also said that we own those vehicles even though we still have a payment or something left up. So the fact is we wouldn't even have to turn that vehicle in if we got to that point. If it was us purchasing that vehicle, keeping it a little longer to maybe build a little equity in it, we would not have to turn it in and take a loss above what was owed on the vehicle. And then two, I asked him for so that would be a market value financing. So basically if we did 4 cars, you're looking at $57,000 roughly yearly overlay. That's your 12 monthly payments across the board. So I said, what about a traditional finance? And he said, yeah, we can do that. So he quoted me that, well, on the same 4, you're looking at $63,800. So it's still under what the council put in lit to allow us to purchase vehicles next year, either way. I understand we're going to pay somebody something whether we finance or we go through enterprise. The reason that I guess I'm for enterprise is because right now I'm doing fleet maintenance. I'm a captain on the sheriff's department that has a lot of other duties to do. So between me and Nate Kovacs, we spend a lot of time dealing with vehicle issues, which basically takes away from me doing my other job, just like you all have jobs here, and when something pulls you away from it, if you could spend your time doing your primary job, it's probably better well spent dollars for my salary. And two, they have a matrix to track vehicles. Right now, if I want to know if somebody's getting their oil changed or if we're going too far on tires, I, one, have to ask one of our secretaries, but hopefully that is scanned in the vehicle maintenance part of our Spillman. Or if it's not there, I have to have somebody that has access to where we track all of our spending and requests that go to the auditor's office. So there's no really good way, nothing integrated, so we can look at one vehicle and say, hey, you know, it's not being taken care of the way it should be, or it is, or it looks like it's more miles than we expected, without having to do some legwork. There's nothing, there's nobody behind the scenes to track that stuff. And that's one of the services that obviously comes with bidding it out to another company. So basically, with the money allotted, we could put 4 new vehicles in service through enterprise. If it works out, great, we can start a partnership and go on down the road. If a year into it, 3 months into it, 6 months into it, because we'll have reviews with them periodically on the performance of the vehicles, on if we're meeting the expectations or markers, then we can go a different route. Any questions?
What was the information about the vehicles that you consider out of service now? What is Enterprise going to do or wants to do with?
We basically, if everything were to fall into place, we could potentially put 8 new vehicles in service next year. That would allow those 8 vehicles to come out and not go into pool cars. And we already have, we went through a list yesterday. I think that would allow also Enterprise through, I guess something happened in July of this year. There's a change that they don't have to bid. They can put vehicles into their normal process as far as like they do with their own rental cars to sell those. They'd be willing to take the cars that were not even cars that we would be that are already taken out of service or have been out of service, like our 2013 Tahoe. There's a 2016 Tahoe. There's a Charger right now we're using 2018. I think it just went over 200,000 miles. They'll even take those vehicles so we don't have the stockpile of vehicles building up, potentially waiting on at some point to have a sale. So that would give us an outlet to sell the other vehicles we currently have that either need to be gone or will be gone once new vehicles come in service.
So I know that we were looking at an auction company to auction off all of our surplus vehicles, and that's still going forward, but we hadn't gotten any response from you guys on which vehicles you were going to put in that, because the guy's been out here taking pictures of our ambulances and whatnot to list on the internet to start selling those. So are you not wanting to be a part of that then?
Well, if we have an outlet with Enterprise and they can get us the best value with, you know, it can basically then be used the money to roll right back into the vehicle maintenance or paying vehicles. So no, if we have an outlet that will sell them for us, that's we'll absolutely do it, because it takes it off your guys' plate and it takes it off ours. I don't, as the fleet manager, I've heard we were potentially having an auction, but I've not heard anything about needing photos, but I don't know whose death
I'll
that.
have to go back and look and see who the
Who-
contacts, I believe the contacts were Josh.
Okay.
The emails have, contact information was given to him, and he made the statement that he had not heard and not gotten any information from the sheriff's department, that nobody was responding.
Okay.
So I'll reach back out to him and see who he was reaching out to, but he had not gotten any response regarding any of the vehicles.
Sounds good. Take care of it. Is there any other questions about any of this?
So we went from the last lease from 64.5 basically, and we dropped down to 57,000.
That would be if you went with the fair market. That's where you could potentially, there will still be money owed on the vehicles at the end of the 4-year term, where we would trade them in or keep them. I mean, it's kind of like a car lease, except for it's a little more flexible because we own the cars. They're going to be titled to us with a lien on them by them. So for 57,304, that's what you're looking at a yearly overlay for 4.
So, Commissioner Steve, we kind of had the same concern last time we talked about this, of coming up to the end of the lease and maybe being way over miles, and then we get hit with this bill of like way too much. So that is why we had them look at this. What did you call this option? The traditional finance. So it's basically a lease over 4 years. And when you pay your last payment, the vehicle is as ours. You know, so there is no uncertainty of if, you know, the mileage is not an issue. And certainly there will be some value in the vehicles at only 4 years in. I believe our concerns were the same with that concern of getting hit with an extra charge because it's over miles. So that's why I like this traditional finance, 48 months. It would cost $63,804 over the course of the 4 years. You know, I made the statement in the last time we discussed this that obviously just purchasing straight out is the most cost effective because you know, you're not paying interest. So if we lease through a bank, we're going to pay interest, or if we finance through a bank, we're going to pay interest. But I like this payout because the vehicles are ours at the end of that 48, and don't matter if they have 1 million miles on them. They're just ours. They're going to have some value. And so what we've calculated basically is that over the course of 4 years, it's going to cost us $10,000 per vehicle to pay all of those payments out, as opposed to cash out buying them up front. However, at the end of those 4 years, there is going to be a value. I would think it would be around $10,000 or somewhere in that neighborhood. So I feel like, being that we're only going to have the $64,000 or $64,500 from the council, at least that's what it appears, to work with, this seems to fit what we need to do. It also allows us to kind of get a taste of leasing without being, you know, all in. We've got our plan is to purchase vehicles with the ARPA funds. Again, the Hamilton County deal is a great thing. Hopefully it will all pan out to get us 5 nice vehicles. They're used, but they're nice, for spare vehicles and for reserves. So I think this is the best route to go. And also to touch on the auction thing, I was given a list of all the vehicles that were on the auction list when I took office January 1st. All I have known is that all of those vehicles are to be auctioned off. So as he said, you know, this may be something that kind of takes a load off of your all's hands. They obviously have an outlet for these vehicles. Not going to get us a whole lot of money, but auctioning these things is not going to get us much either. So it may be something that is nice to where we can kind of, and of course they're going to give us pricing. Then we can get that to you all and say, hey, here's what they're saying. They're going to give us for all these. Is it worth it, or do we want to go through the process of auction? It may be worth it. So I would recommend the 4-year basically lease to where at the end of those 48 payments, the vehicle's ours. We're not going to get stuck with, I'm just concerned about the mileage. Everybody's had those fears. I've never leased a vehicle because I drive a lot of miles, and I've had friends who literally had to park their vehicle for the last year of their lease, you know. So that's been my uneasiness with it. So I like this other option they gave us.
I was going to say, has always been my concern. I just, for what you're using for.
This isn't a traditional lease in the sense where they give you 15,000 miles a year. The lease is, the fair market value, according to Chris, is what a majority go with. And the reason is it allows you to invest a smaller amount of money and then allow to use, for us, dollars are kind of tight. We ain't gonna lie. It gives us that little bit of flexibility. So that's why they give us that option. And if you want to do the thing where you owe at 48 months zero, they're okay with that too, because they expect those vehicles to be worth $10,000 roughly. If the market stays as it is with used cars and the need for police vehicles or government vehicles, that there's going to be value at the end. You're not going to run that down into 48 months and that car's worth $0.
What kind of warranty are they giving you on these cars?
So we get the factory, we're the buyers.
Mm-hmm.
They will be the financial. We get the exact same warranty we get from Dodge on every vehicle we buy. 3 years, 36,000, and I think it's 6 years, 100,000 miles on the engine, transmission, and other powertrain.
You say they have a deal
It's
with,
100,000. Yeah, on
they have a
Dodge.
deal with Jiffy Lube for oil changes, is that correct?
So with Enterprise, we will use Jiffy Lube, but they also open us up to a couple other, Russ Hubler, some other places that they have pre-negotiated prices with for maintenance. If we have vehicles that are damaged, obviously insurance will take care of it, but they are a preferred customer there, so they get a better rate because, I mean, they have a lot of, we're basically piggybacking when it comes to maintenance and for damages on their rental cars. I mean, they're the largest rental car in the United States.
So I don't know that a decision can be, in my mind, a decision can be made tonight because we need to see all of the agreements, all of the information.
So you should have the master lease agreement.
But not with all the new figures, not with all the new stuff, so
Nothing's
the changes.
changed.
I would prefer to have an updated one because the dollars have changed. They may do trade-in, all of that should be included in that.
I will see what I can get as far as numbers. I don't think it'll be in the lease, in the agreement of what they'll pay us for cars. Off the bat, I'm sure they will give us an estimate, but I don't think
I
that.
just don't feel comfortable me personally, making a motion without having anything in front of me.
I'm okay. You tell me what you want to get and I will bring it again.
All the information that you've just talked about?
You need another master lease agreement sent to Joel?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Also, I'd like Joel to review it just to make sure that we're,
Do you still have the original one, Joel? I still have it. Is there any way I could get you to send it to Chris to make sure that nothing's changed? And then I will give them the list of vehicles that we have that are already going to go out of service or be out of service and see if he can give us an estimate of what they think of the value of those would be on the market. Would that help?
Yes, absolutely.
also that would make a big difference. This way we know whether we're going to be upside down at the end of the term or not.
And if need be, I can probably ask Chris to be here to answer any questions you may have, because this is what he does.
And that would probably be
Because-
helpful also.
Okay, and I will let him know because I'm working with, obviously, hopefully the Dodge orders stay open. So That's the only time constraint I have. That's it, is just the order window. Anything else, I'm not in a hurry for, so. Okay, I will,
I need to make a motion for that. So I will make, let's see how to word this. I will make a motion to table it until the next meeting when all of the documentation and can be reviewed by Joel, and we can have it to review as well.
okay, I will start working on getting that stuff for you guys tomorrow and make sure they send the lease agreement back to Joel so he can review it to make sure it's the same thing.
So we'll need a second.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0.
We forgot Penny as
Commissioner
well.
Steve, I want to make sure and clarify, you made the statement there about not being upside down. I don't feel comfortable doing the lease to where that's the 57,000 when I think we need to do the 64-ish or whatever it was. That way it's not it's when you pay your 48 months payments that the vehicle's yours. There's no possibility of you maybe come out good, you maybe don't. So that's what I want to, we're on the same page on. I don't want that open end. So that 48 month lease of the 64,000-ish, that's what I feel comfortable doing because they're just our vehicles. When they're paid off, they're ours.
Well, I assumed at some point that I'm hopeful that you're going to get into a rotation on vehicles and this be a steady thing, and some of those will be applied
That's-
towards your
yes.
next round of vehicles. So
Yes,
this way
and
you
that's
can
the
keep.
way I understand it. At those point, they're ours, just like these ones we're going to auction. And they'll give us a price and say, this is what we'll give you for those. And then we say, okay, cool, we'll trade it in, or no, city wants to buy it for more. So, yeah.
Thank you. Penny,
We forgot you.
I just wanted to make her sweat a little bit.
Oh,
You don't have anything. Whew. Thank you, Penny. Should we make our auditor fill-ins give a report on something?
they have nothing.
I don't have any clerk, I don't have anybody from the park.
The only other one is
Assessor.
EMS.
Okay, Mandy. Mandy doesn't have anything. That puts us, assignment of tax sale certificate. Got this from the town of Moreland. They have 2 properties that they are wanting within their town limits. Per auditor's office, these parcels were offered and did not sell in the recent tax sale. Town board unanimously voted to request an assignment of these 2 certificates by the commissioners to the town so it may pursue obtaining tax deeds. So, any discussion?
I think this is something that we regularly do within the towns. So I will make the motion to approve this assignment of tax sale certificates to the town of Moreland.
I have a motion and a second to approve the assignment of tax sale certificates for these 2 properties. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, I said aye.
Okay. Motion carries 3-0. I didn't hear you. And next we have,
There's nothing in the book on this one.
on the personnel policy review. Any discussion?
So the department heads have been meeting every couple of weeks for the last, I don't know, 6 weeks, 8 weeks,
Something like that,
somewhere
yeah.
around in there. And it has been requested that we review the personnel policy, which typically are the 3 commissioners and 3 council. So I would make the motion that we put that committee back together. Oh, my mouth went dead, excuse me. Put that committee back together between the commissioners and 3 council and start reviewing the personnel policy and any potential changes or updates that need to be made to that.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Put the committee back together for the personnel policy review. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next on our itinerary is we have the lot that is owned by the commissioners out in front of Walmart where the old car wash, possible gas station, I can't remember the gas station was there or not, but the car wash was out front, to list it with a realtor. Any discussion?
So we put this out.
Apparently, we need to buy stickier tape.
So we had put, so we had put this out to bid, and we did not receive any bids on that. Susan Falknell reached out, and it looks like she's had a few inquiries for that space. And I believe she may have somebody that's pretty interested in it. So, Joel, because we didn't receive any bids, we can move forward. Move to list it through a realtor. So I will make the motion that we move to list this with Susan Falknell.
I'll say, should we open it up for,
Well, we had two appraisals, and they're back in here, one from Kara Huffman. We did open it up when we put it out. Kara Huffman, and, because they both did a appraisal assessment. I guess we could put it out for bid, but I don't know. I know
not for
Susan's
bid,
got
but for
somebody that's interested. We're not obligated to do that. Yeah.
I guess the only bid would be, what commission, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's fairly uniform.
yeah, I think so too. So I made the motion to move forward with Susan Falknell.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I do have a question. So can we, once we sell a building, designate, and I know the council will probably have to prove it because it's probably going to reach that threshold. Can we designate a non-reverting fund to put these funds in to fund further maintenance of other buildings as we sell these? So, but we'll have to deal with that at the other end of this. At the other end of it. Because I think it would be we put it in the general fund and, we spend it obviously efficiently, but if we could, over the years, our buildings maintenance have not been the greatest. And, if we can take some of these funds and designate them specifically for building maintenance, I think that would be a good idea.
I'll say I believe that, for clarification, a lot of the reasons that maintenance have not been done on these buildings because there was never any money to do it.
Correct.
It was no fault of anyone intentionally letting buildings fall down around us. It was the fact that there was never the funding there to do it.
Absolutely
So-
correct.
This is just trying to get so we don't wind up staying in that rut. Okay, next up I have a resolution authorizing the expenditure of revenue for the abatement share of the restricted received from the settlement of the claims against the opioid manufacturers and distributors. Do I need to read all that? Any discussion?
I think
Probably could read number one there as to what the,
Okay, I can do that.
yeah.
Therefore, now be resolved, the sum of up to $130,000 is hereby allocated to assist Hope Initiative in the acquisition of a property in Henry County to be used for transition housing for females who have completed the JCAP program and have been released from custody, for the renovation of the property and for use of transition housing for the staffing and operation of the property. Any discussion?
I will make the motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this resolution, number 2023-25-020. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0.
There's a second one in there. Which is the. You should have a second, do you not have a second
I do
resolution?
not have a second
Here we go.
resolution. Well, I have one on the next section.
Yeah, there you go.
I have a resolution 2023-25021. Which line do I need to read on this one?
One.
Number one, the sum of $12,712.50 is hereby allocated for the acquisition or licensing of a New Direction educational programming and materials for the use in JCAP. Any discussion?
This was we obviously approved it to be modified into the opioid, or, yeah. This is for, I think there is some, they've got some stuff for New Direction, but they needed additional to move forward with that. So that's what that's for, a different program to work in conjunction with what they're doing with JCAP. So I will make the motion to approve Resolution 2023-2521.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next up, we have, this is from Carrie Riley from the Henry County OOR program. They are wanting, I guess, Joel, I guess I need you to explain this
Yeah,
for
that's
everybody.
what it is. As part of this program, funding is provided to homeowners for renovation and repair of their homes. The loans forgivable over time as long as they're living there. This particular person that is a homeowner wants to, according to the email, borrow funds to acquire a car, and the lender wants to use her home as collateral. The lender wants to have a first priority lien against the property, whereas the lien in favor of the county for this particular program is currently first priority lien. So the question was presented, is the county willing to release the lien or subrogate the lien? Basically, subrogation, say the lender's lien takes priority over any lien we have. From what I understand, the loan will be fully forgiven, I believe, in February of next year.
Yeah, I'll say it wasn't very much, but
So my thought would be, I wouldn't see an issue with subrogating the
Okay.
loan. That should allow her to be able to obtain the loan for the vehicle and also then keep a lien against the property, at least for the term.
Until it's forgiven.
and you're all right with all the language with doing that? And
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, typically the bank will have its own subrogation agreement, but I can review that if it looks good.
Okay.
Give it to you
Okay.
guys for signature.
any further discussion?
I will make the motion to allow us to be the subrogation of Arlene so that this lady can purchase a
Second.
vehicle.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. And next up, I have the interlocal cooperation agreement between the City of Newcastle and Henry County. Purpose of the agreement is to outline the respective duties and management of the parties and the operation and maintenance for the E91 for Henry County. Good Lord.
Yeah, you don't have to read it all. This is, so when the council passed the PSAP tax, that changes how everything works
The
within.
agreement between
dispatch
us
with-
and
Yeah, and so
city.
this is just an updated agreement between the city and the county, basically saying the county is responsible for everything.
Yep.
It's essentially establishes the 911 board. It's similar to, identical to what the current agreement is with respect to that. It takes out the obligation for payment that is now being covered.
From the city, yeah. Anyway, actually, from
Yeah.
both of us, so.
Right, and I sent it to Butch, and Butch reviewed it. There was a couple of changes. It was the number of staffing that had to change in that one. In here it said 9, and actually, I'm going to have to change this because I didn't change the worded. It was 9 and 5, and it needed to be 10 and 6. So, question, since I didn't get the 5 changed to 6 here, can we just manually change that?
You can manually change it.
Okay, so, I will make the motion to accept the new interlocal 911 interlocal agreement.
Second.
I have a motion and second to.
Oh, sorry. The one other thing, because in here, Joel, there's blanks for dates somewhere, that when it starts and finishes, is that correct?
That's correct.
This contract will take effect, so we need to, January 1st of 2024. And then it'll expire on 12/31/2024, but it automatically renews every year unless somebody terminates it, so. With those changes, I make the motion to accept.
Second.
I made the motion, he seconded it.
I know, I was waiting for you to change something else.
Oh,
Right?
sorry. Sorry.
Are you done?
Yes.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 3-0.
And I'll make the change to the copy that you have of what we just discussed.
Okay, that takes us to the end. We already discussed the fuel bids. Anything from the public?
Once again, I'm Melanie Sanders Douglas, and I'm here on behalf of the Sanders family to see about the shelter being built. And I don't know if there's anything going on with it, but it's been 5.5 years.
I will defer you at this moment to our legal counsel.
I can tell you, I have re-reviewed the lease because it had been a while since I had seen it, and the lease clearly does place an obligation on the expo. It allows them to remove the shelter, but also places an obligation on them to rebuild the shelter. I mean, that's pretty clear. That obviously hasn't happened, and so I think when the next step is going to be myself and one of the commissioners going to attempt to arrange a meeting with the expo to try to get some hard dates as to when that's going to happen. And if we can't get that done, then we'll consider what the next step would be.
Okay, because in the spring, and then in the fourth Saturday in June, when we had the family meeting, Sanders family was willing, if the expo board, and we told Jake Martin this, if they did the thing, got the money for the material, that we would help build it and put it together. But they are so mad now that nothing's been done. It'll be next year, even if we can get it started then. So we just really, my mom built the shelter for the family to enjoy it, and we have not enjoyed it for 5.5 years.
I was going to say right now that with what Joel said, we have a plan now to move forward to see if we can get a resolution taking care of this.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem. I've got a quick answer. No.
My question is about the transitional housing for the women. This is a dire need, and I appreciate the work that Angela's put into this. I am back in the JCAP wing quite a bit, and I ask these people, you know, what's your biggest need? And this is the biggest need. We've got to get some transitional help. I don't know how all that looks, how all that works, but it's an absolute must because they are getting a lot of help in the JCAP program, and then man, we're almost, it's like kind of tossed them out into the interstate when they could just crawl. We're missing.
I think
this
that's what
piece.
this resolution was to step forward in getting
I'm
that.
very excited about that. I want to stay more engaged on that and help in every way that I can, just because it's very much of a burden that I think that's a piece that if we can figure that out, the lasting effects are going to be great. So I appreciate everybody working towards that, and I'm not sure where all that goes, but I'm excited to see some progress there. And again, if I can help in any way in assisting in seeing that those transitional places come to pass, I'll be happy to do that. Does that have to do with, clarify, it goes to the HOPE initiative, what is,
So the program that we're working on right now is called Fresh Start Housing.
okay,
And Sandra Roussel is the one that started Fresh Start Housing in Wayne County.
okay,
And she has been working with a group of people, myself included, Angela, City Council member Rex Peckinpah, Hope Initiative, Community Foundation, Ken and Gray from the County Council, Public Health. Am I missing anybody, Angela?
I don't think so, the majority of the board, but I can tell you right now, here's what our biggest need is, and this may be something you can help us plug into. We do not have a suitable house to buy. We've got money on the hook now, and we had a place on Main Street that fell through, which I missed a couple of meetings for the medical stuff, but I think it was because we had too much pushback
From the neighbor?
from the neighbors, and that has to be expected, you know, that's gonna happen. But to find a dwelling that's large enough, we really need to house 8 or 9 people, 9 preferably. And then, so it's not so dilapidated that they have to put a half million dollars in it to, you know, you're talking about plumbing, kitchen and all of that. All of the homes that we have, unfortunately, around the county are in such disrepair. And that's really what we're in.
so am I hearing it correct, then this is like $130,000 start to get?
Yes, and so the reason Hope Initiative is involved is because they are a 501c3 and they're going to plant the seed and then they'll have it for the first 15 months and then the director will
So
take
this
over.
is-
So the $130,000 is to help purchase a home and cover operational for the first 15 months until it can get up on its feet. And that's why Hope is involved. And then eventually Hope will, out of this house, the goal is that Hope plants this seed. The director, after 15 months, will purchase the house from Hope. If there's any profit from that, Hope will put that in a fund to fund and seed the next house. And so that's the processes. Currently, you know, we're running into, there's other issues that the group is kind of running into.
Well, this sounds like a substantial start. At
It
least
is.
It gives
It is.
us a vehicle
Yes.
to make the next step.
Because this, I don't know if you know much about Fresh Start Housing, but this Fresh Start Housing is a lot of personal responsibility of those residents of that house. It is not a facility that they move into and, Angela, what's the words that I'm looking for?
Those individuals there's a program.
Yes.
And it's a financial program. And at the end of 15 months, they end up with actual money in a savings account and full-time job. So there's that piece of it. And then as individuals, they go out and they're required to get mental health, and they're required to have mental health connections and insurance. And those are things that they refer to people like the health department or whatever to help with that. So it's really nice because we're not having to deal with a lot of the red tape with a lot of the mental health programs with that. And, but under Hope, we do have to have some insurance. So we're learning that that's kind of
That's what we were talking about today
That
at the meeting.
gives me the clarity that I was looking for. I'm just happy to see this step forward, and like I said, I want to help in every way I can on that. because
You
that
just
is
heard
such-
they need to pay for the insurance, you could pay for
Go ahead.
that.
Yes, yes.
Well,
No, but you know, I've got some thoughts on that, on some, yeah. So I'm happy to hear about that, and I want to encourage these faithful people here. It sounds like they're about to get something done. because it's,
Yeah,
the
we
wheels
are.
are starting to turn, so I want to be there for the ribbon cutting ceremony. And I also want to say, they've done a great job over here. They've been writing stuff, and
Hey, I've been here for a while and I've never had to come here and take notes, so.
You're doing good. You're doing good.
they've been doing a good job over there. And now, they may have been faking, but they've been writing and watching, and so I just wanted to give them an A+.
You're fine. You guys have done a great job. That's all. Okay.
All righty. Anything else from the public?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for coming.